And here's a live look at the control room of the Bob and Kevin Show, live from Columbia City, Indiana on January the 7th, 2018.
All right, you got the 2018 down now.
Yeah, I was holding my breath there. I'm like, don't screw it up, don't screw it up, don't screw it up. All right, let's bring down the house music here. Bob, how was your half weekend so far?
You know what? Never a dull moment here in the baty-barr household of old houses. We had I think a frozen drain yesterday. It got down to minus 14 regular without the wind chill here, I think Friday night. And we thought maybe it was a frozen drain. So we tried to heat things up. Didn't drain all day yesterday. Tried to put 2 different chemical compounds to maybe clear the clogged drain. And nothing happened. But then eventually about an hour and a half ago, I walked past it and then it just started draining. So we dodged a bullet.
Wow. So we had similar plumbing issues because it's been really freaking cold, in case you're tuning in from south of the equator. One of our vents on the roof of the house became clogged, and one of the plumbing ones, so it wouldn't allow sewer gases out. So you flush a toilet, the sewer gas wants to come up other places. So yeah,
that's the good times I was having a couple weeks ago.
Fun times. So you've been watching any NFL football this weekend? It's playoff time.
It is playoff time, and I'll tell you, I know we're going against a game right now, so hopefully we're not losing viewers because of that. Haha. But my NFL watching this season has been really, really low.
Yeah, I caught a couple games yesterday. I tell you what, college football has been way, way, way more exciting for me this year. Got the Notre Dame hat because Notre Dame beat LSU. Don't ask me for the score. All that matters is they beat LSU and put a bow on the season. I think we finished 10-3. Go Irish. Okay, enough about Notre Dame, but there we go. I got it in.
I haven't even been doing college football. I think I'm just maybe if my home team, the Bears, did a little better, I'd come back to the NFL. I don't mind it. I'm not watching because of any controversy on a larger scale. It just has not been fitting into my watching time frame this year for some reason.
Yeah, same here. Just been on to other things. Speaking of other things, I had some serious ISP issues this week, and one thing that really kind of torqued me out, I was pretty hot, was my ISP said, yes, looks like you got a problem. How's 2 weeks from now sound? And I was like, losing my mind. 2 weeks from now, what kind of...
What is it, 1950?
I guess. Basically it came down to, according to them, was a math function of how many problems do we have in your area versus how many problems do we have in other areas, and apply resources accordingly. Totally get it from a business perspective, but there's zero requirement for me to like it. So
is your ISP national?
Yes, it is.
See, that's weird. So it's so weird that they're in pockets because I've never heard of them until you and I were talking about it.
So. Oh, really? I think they're based out of Iowa. And then just because, working from home does suck when you don't have the internet. And I worked at the coffee shop locally, which was actually not a bad experience. Might be doing that more often. I got a second ISP. So the control room of the Bob and Kevin show is now wired to 2 separate ISPs. So we do have a failover, and of course, it doesn't fail over gracefully or anything like that. And I just paid double. So
we have to just change cables and go.
Yeah, hopefully we just change Wi-Fi's. But yeah.
Oh, so you don't have your main machine hardwired?
I don't. Where I'm at here, it's hard to tell. I am out in a office that's usually way too cold, way too cramped, and that's just where the wife has authorized me to exist. So no, I would have to run a very long wire out here. So
mine's usually too cold too, but since it's a balmy 21 here in the Chicagoland area, I can actually go hatless today. Woohoo!
Nice. All right, Bob, we need to get to some of the business of the day, and one of those pieces of business is our Twitter poll. And
which one? Didn't we run a bunch of them again this week?
Yeah, but you know what? This is the one I've got queued up, so this is the one we're going to show. And do you have any New Year's tech-based resolutions? And we're at a solid 50-50 there, which is probably very boring results. So I guess some
But
do,
actually,
some don't.
I thought that was pretty interesting because I expected it to honestly to be unanimously like no's. So to have it a 50-50 split, I mean, I know I had some or have one, but I didn't really expect many people to follow suit there.
So we do have another poll out right now. Now that
Ooh,
we are in the new browser era,
and it's got lots of votes already.
or new browser war era, I misread that. Which browser is your go-to these days? You can see my vote right there. I pick Chrome. Bob, do you care to disclose your vote, or should you remain anonymous so we don't cause any controversy?
Oh no, I also chose Chrome as well. Full disclosure, I'm not gonna. I, everybody keeps. Well, maybe we should just save that for later in the show. But I think we could give everybody a preview of some of the stuff we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about some of the breaking headlines in technology, and definitely browser wars is one of those. But maybe we can start out with some CES 2018 stuff. You want to go there?
Sure, Bob. School me on it because I don't know anything about CES. It's the Consumer Electronics Show, right?
Consumer Electronics Show. Yes, it's an annual event that happens pretty early each year, and I believe that it's always in Vegas. But I can maybe our fact checkers can double check that. But anyway, past few years, CES has been dominated by Amazon and their voice activated assistants. I'm not going to say the name because she will chime in on the show again, as she always does. So we'll leave it at that. But there's some interesting a new product information that I just saw before the show launched today. A company called iDevices is introducing an Amazon switch that embeds that woman's name that we won't say into the walls of homes. So basically, put your smart switch in that is already Amazon enabled, not just integrated, but enabled. So you can just talk to your wall switch. Echoes, the dots have come so far down in price. I knew it was just a matter of moments before they were integrated into other technologies. The dots, I think I saw a special the other day. You could buy 6, get 1 free. So like that's how cheap they are. That people can buy them in 6-packs now. So that was an interesting new product announcement for CES. And then I think probably one of the biggest or the interesting headlines is it's actually scrolling across the screen right now. Google has planted its flag at CES. So Google doesn't typically show up in force. Consumer electronics show is not a big deal for them typically, but this year they have giant show booth graphics from what I'm seeing, and they actually paid for some advertising on the Vegas tram. It says, "Hey Google" on the outside. So speculation is that they're going hard at Amazon this year and going to be announcing plenty of integrations with the Google Home and the Google Voice digital assistant. So be on the lookout for that. I believe that CES starts later in this week or perhaps next week. What were the dates on that you just had up there at the top?
Looks like January 9th to 12th.
So kicks off Tuesday.
Awesome. While we're on the topic of kind of current stuff, Coinbase, it's where we go to get our charts and things like that. We can cover the cryptocurrencies real quick. It looks like Bitcoin's, rebounding. Ethereum, as you pointed out, has been on a nice steady incline here, and then Litecoin has actually been, kind of all over the place here. So, but I would like to go on a mini rant here. Now you're signed up on Coinbase, right, Bob?
Yeah, it was super simple. I just actually went online, connected my checking account or whatever I connected to it, and I was off and running. I know that there was a verification step, but it was just a tiny little crack in the sidewalk.
Yeah. Apparently I don't exist. I can't get my identity verified. Maybe somebody's already claimed it. I don't know. Who knows? I'm just trying to buy some freaking cryptocurrency, and I can't do it. So I am on the hunt for either a way to get signed up on Coinbase, or I believe now opportunity has opened up in the market for me to go look somewhere else. So if that somewhere else is watching, or somebody else knows of that somewhere else, let me know. I would just like to buy some cryptocurrency and play in the game too. And Coinbase seems to just have enough money, or they are just unable to hand. I don't know. I'm pretty upset. So
I really would like to find out resolution on why you're not getting through though. That's so weird.
Yeah, especially because you aren't the only person I know who got on there, no problem. So yeah, curious myself. All right.
Maybe in a future episode we'll talk about what's in your file that's keeping you from being able to trade online.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe it's all those Russian lawyers I always talk to, on Slack or something. I don't know.
Oh boy.
All
Someone just
right.
got put himself on a watch list.
So we're going to transition to our tech headlines, even though we've already covered a few of them today. We are going to start with sort of the breaking news. And when I say breaking news, I mean people losing their mind news. That is Meltdown and Spectre. So as you can see here in the graphic here, there's major chip flaw affecting a billion devices, or billions. They've got their own cute little logos.
Aww.
It's called Meltdown and or Spectre. Doesn't seem to have affected Intel's price too much. AMD not so much. I mean, negligible changes. The internet seems to have been losing its mind, though, and fortunately, there's been a few voices of reason that have kind of told people, hey, calm down. Hey, look at that. I know that guy. He told us to calm down. There is a KB out there, Windows Update, that you should be looking for if you're running Windows. Whatever your manufacturer offers, that's probably what you should do as far as a patch. Things like that.
So are you all patched up and ready to go?
I'm patched up on Windows. I haven't got my update on my mobile device, and I don't know if that scares me or not. Apparently, it's pretty hard for this hack to be pulled off.
And it affects the mobile chipsets as well?
Everything. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That's my understanding. Everything. So fact checkers can jump on me if I'm wrong. So because I think this is pretty hard to pull off if I could describe the problem. Here's how I understand the problem. Let's go with that. I may be wrong, but here's how I understand the problem. This is kind of like a Stack Overflow issue where basically before stuff goes into the CPU, it arrives in the cache and it's queued up. Normally, you can't look into the cache, but apparently you can, and that's the problem, where you can be like, hey, look at that. There's some stuff over them. Let me just watch what's going on over there. And the buzzword, or buzzwords, and I'm going to mispronounce this probably, speculative execution, which is, I think, a way of CPUs want to predict what's going to happen next so they can go out and get the information, get it ready, and queue it up and say, okay, I figured out what I think I need to do next. Go ahead and put it in the cache so I can run it. The problem is the barriers, the normal protections for those are now not there unless you get patched. And there was speculation, especially with Intel, that you could lose up to about 30% of your performance. However, fear not, because Google and some other websites that I've kind of put some trust in has shown that the performance hit is negligible. So I haven't seen it.
30% is an outlier number then?
I think so.
Okay.
I was being cheeky yesterday or the day before. Hey, do we get 30% discounts or refunds on our chips? Of course, that's never going to happen. But the good news is I haven't noticed any slowdown. This machine that we're on right here is patched and ready to go. So what about you, Bob? Have you got any patches done yet?
Since I don't really have any personal hardware anymore, don't have those patches, or don't have any personal hardware patches, but from a corporate level, still waiting for that package to come down from on high. My concern with the slowdown issue would be in a large enterprise environment like I'm in. There's already stuff in place that slows things down for us anyway. So if you layer something like this on top of it, I wonder if that puts us more in that outlier realm of that 20 to 30% degradation, and only time's going to tell. I'm not excited about it at all.
So what you're describing is very typical. Like, you're in a enterprisey kind of environment where you're probably managed from above and whatnot. And what complicates these things is some antiviruses are preventing this patch because it's such a low level kernel, update. So the situation I think you would be in is, well, you're going to get this patch, but you won't get it for a while, possibly, because a plan's got to come up, be thought of, put into place, executed, massive reboots and pushed down from a Windows Update server. I mean, nothing new there. This is just how giant corporate America or world works. So does that mean, are you worried that you're going to get hacked? Is there any fear on your part because of that?
Well, I think part of the discussion that really hasn't been talked about yet is how do we even get to the situation where someone can look inside that cache that's not supposed to be looked inside? Is this like a malware distribution where you open something that you're not supposed to and it allows it to execute something else? Like, what is the package here? What's the delivery?
Yeah, it's my understanding you have to have some malware. This isn't one of those things where somebody from afar sitting in a rogue nation is going to be remoting into your machine unless there is some sort of pivot software already in your machine. Pivot software meaning something that's going to enable that remote access, put that malware on your machine, and then trick the CPU into the speculative execution where now we're exposing certain I mean, it's a very difficult hack to pull off. So my sense is, and I kind of tweeted about it, is this is cool. This is great. We found it. We have a path to victory here. It seems we've known about this for 6 months. There's some cool logos that make it seem like a fun problem for us to solve. And it's kind of weird that they had the time to come up with logos. You know, what was the war room like on that? Hey guys, how do we break the news on this? I don't know, but let's make sure we have logos and maybe people can buy T-shirts. I don't know. Who knows?
Who brands those? Like, I mean, it seems like that's the hot new thing is like an exploit comes out and then somehow there's branding already attached with it. Like what this one's got like a little ghost logo and something else, right?
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, it's for Spectre. That makes sense.
We had Heartbleed. We had, gosh, now I can't even remember them now. So maybe that's what's going to happen.
Did they come up with the shitty little artwork that goes with them too, or what?
Maybe that's what will happen too. Maybe we just like, hey, you remember that one thing? Yeah, it's gone. You know, I tend to think we've got bigger problems to worry about than Spectre and Meltdown.
Without a doubt.
That's just my thought. In fact, I'm probably jumping the shark here, but we have yet another interesting kind of segue to this, and is open source making you a sucker? And there was a really great article, basically is, hey, this is how I can trick you into being a sucker. And we'll have a description link to this, but WordPress plugins, Umbraco plugins, you know, Node plugins, these are all kind of affected by these sorts of things. You know, shouldn't we be signing these somehow? Shouldn't there be like an authority saying, yes, this code is authorized by this group over here? I mean, the Apple App Store seems to be the flag bearer on this one, even though they're not perfect. Chrome extensions, they seem extremely sketchy. You know, are they spying on you? I made one recently, and I'm like, holy crap, you can do all this in a simple extension, and you know, it gives me the feeling that people associate now free with, or it's putting people's guard to the side. Hey, it's free. Oh well, I need to get through this problem. You know, let me download, and I'm not picking on it, Moment.js. And then now that we have Moment.js, okay, that problem's solved. Now I don't have to do my date math. Okay, now what's the actual problem I'm trying to solve? And we kind of fast forwarded through the, oh wait, is Moment.js, and again, I'm not picking on it. It's my example here. You know, what if that shipped with malware? You know, not only that, people who use like Node and things like that, and I use Node, so I'm a sucker. Just so we're clear, folks, I'm a sucker too, because I might depend on something that depends on something that depends on something, and as long as one of those packages becomes malware, it's going to make it all the way into my production system unless I go full on vetting mode of all my code, and or as we talked pre-show, we can go the other route and go, well, I guess we have to rewrite everything because we can't trust anything. So non-invented here syndrome finally gets validation. Aha, I told you we should have been writing everything here, and then we don't depend on anything. So Bob, what do you think about the threat that maybe blindly using open source software presents?
Well, there's tons to unpack here. If we go back to just the article that kind of sparked the whole conversation, this guy, the author, walks through step by step what possibly, you know, could be the scenario. And, you know, basically he talked about the logic behind just developing something super simple that, you know, allowed you to put colors in the output log. And then what he did is marketed that to other plugins to get those people to make his, you know, color the console a dependency. And so he found distribution channels through 1,200 different plugins or something like that. I mean, I just briefly read through the article, but he found a distribution network, and then he went through in the article and actually picked apart the common arguments that people would throw up, like, oh, this would never work because, and he talked about how he only pings outside systems, outside the hours of 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. to beat pen testers, and he doesn't have any direct calls that would be flags to, and the code is obfuscated and minimized and uglified and all that good stuff. And so he kind of just dismantles, like, oh no, I'm a very diligent programmer and I would do this and I would do that, and he pretty much picks the whole argument apart. So not only is it the whole blind, hey, this is a reputable source, this is a reputable distribution channel, this is a development tool that all of us as developers use, like all that's out the window because this guy just outlined how awful it could all be. I mean, he was talking about capturing logins and bank account info just on the sly with this little color coded thing. So, I mean, it's really opened my eyes because I do just push buttons and awful lot of trust. And it's almost weird because I feel like having quote unquote grown up as a developer in open source, I feel like I almost trust open source more, and I probably should trust it less.
Yeah, so it creates all kinds of things. The reason people like open source is they can see the code. But how often, ask yourself honestly, do you go in line by line of this new library, this new package you found, and go, yeah, okay, it's good. So there's really very little gatekeeping. Vendors, they're not in the business of necessarily looking at the code either. Now, it's in their interest to make sure that nobody's malware gets on their ecosystem, and then they blast it out. And then, because our dependency chains with Node and NuGet and things like that, we could easily, do that vetting up front, day zero, be like, okay, it looks good. But a week from now, when the rush is, hey, there's a bug, and it's not even a security bug. It calculated a date wrong, and you need to update right away. So people rush and they update, and then they kind of go, oh wait, or actually maybe they don't. Maybe they don't go, oh wait, should I go through the whole process again of checking all the dependencies? And let me tell you, they don't, and they includes me. The guy who wrote that, and I need to get his name, so can you find his name so we can give him proper credit on the show? Yep. He calls himself a sucker too, because he said he started the article like, you guys are all wrong, and then kind of had this high and mighty tack to it, and he's like, wait, I'm just like you guys. And then, man, I am just like him too, because I assume Bootstrap's fine, and to this day I don't have any reason to think when I download Bootstrap it's not doing anything weird, and I'm injecting it on client side. Oh shit, go through every dependency like that, and maybe this is a scary thing that I haven't thought of it. But to put a bow on it, I think this is more of an attack vector that has a chance of being successful to compromising things than the Spectre Meltdown.
On a grand scale, on a super big scale.
Yeah.
Just for the record, the author is David Gilbertson. He writes at hackernoon.com. It's a great article. We'll put the link in the show notes. Check it out. It thoroughly freaked me out.
Yeah, same here. And I got it from Twitter, and sorry for the person who tweeted it. We'll retweet it or something on the show handle. Speaking of which, we are going to now transition to a shameless self-promotion. Our shameless self-promotion is please subscribe, because subscribing is very important to the show. When you subscribe and then we go live or have an announcement, we can actually get that blasted out through YouTube. So that's very important. And also hit like, because that means we'll show up as a suggested video to viewers like you. So yes, please subscribe and like the show, and we will be very grateful.
And we're looking for we're still setting that target at 250 views, right?
We still want to get 250 views of an episode in a week, and we also want to do 250 subscribers. Right now we are on pace to do it eventually, which is totally vague and totally I'm making it up as I go because I have no idea how many subscribers we're actually at and how many views that
we're still working on transitioning them from the original channel location to new, but it was a good week last week. I think we 200% increase, so that's good.
And I also want to take the time to remind everyone we are at Bob and Kevin Show on the Twitters. This is our tweet deck here. We would very much like it if you would follow us. Important show announcements like this special edition is coming to you. So, Bob, you know, we totally sailed right through that, too. Why are we having a show? I thought we were on Mondays.
Oh, yeah. So life happens, and life happens at such an incredible pace. Sometimes you forget to connect all the dots. Is something Kevin and I were talking about last week. Well, actually, that's how I eased into the conversation. I have a work trip. I'm wheels up at 7:55 a.m. tomorrow, which would be right in the middle of running the show or being on the show. So we had to pick a different date.
Yeah, and it won't be the last time for sure. It is the first, but it won't be the last time. I mean, we're real people. Newsflash: we actually don't make income on this yet.
Not rolling in that fat YouTube cash yet.
Yes, not yet. Maybe one day, maybe never. We're doing this mostly for fun and whatnot. Okay. Yes. All right, Bob. Are you ready? Do you know what time it is?
It is that magical time.
It is. And there is our wonderful quiz time logo there for everyone. And I think this week, Bob, you are trying to stump me. Is that correct?
Yes. And this week's topic is grab bag.
Grab bag. Oh gosh.
So this could be anything. Actually, this is all very timely. This is all related to events and happenings within the last week up into including today. And you'll see actually I have a bonus question if you're interested at the end as well. But okay. Kevin, are you ready?
Ready as I will be.
The topic is grab bag. Okay. Question number 1. A trendy weather term has been popping up a lot, and it describes a rotating low-pressure storm that rapidly loses pressure, inviting cold air southward. What is that new term that we've been all inundated with this week thanks to the East Coast storm?
Well, because I am a trained American, I watch my morning news, and I believe it's called a bomb cyclone.
Bomb cyclone is correct.
Yes.
I'm actually working on correct and incorrect graphics for hopefully our next broadcast as well. So,
all right, for now, I'll take a thumbs up.
Thumbs up. All right, moving right along. Question number 2. This is also very timely because we've talked about cryptocurrency every single week. The tech world is abuzz about Ripple. What is it?
A cryptocurrency?
Yeah.
Question mark?
I think I blew that in the setup.
That's about as good as I got to. It's just yet another one. So there's a ton of, I think what they call them altcoins, right? And last I heard, there's like 700, which means we need a Bob and Kevin show coin. I'm just saying. And I think Ripple is just one of those if there's 700, eventually one or two aside from the main group on Coinbase gets traction. And I think Ripple might, but I got to be honest, I get targeted advertising on my phone, and it's a new article sponsored that says this insert crypto coin here is the next one. Yeah, okay. Sure.
I saw Ripple come up in my Twitter feed, and it was related to some software that you can get on GitHub that I don't know if that's for transactions, mining, I don't know, but it was associated with Ripple, and of course I can't think of the name of the software that was supposed to make that all happen, but yep, you're definitely going to get the bonus question because I screwed up with the lead in on that one. So this is question number 3, the last official question. You're 2 for 2 so far. What ceremony kicks off award season later today?
What ceremony kicks off award season later today? Alex, what is... I have no idea.
An award season is in air quotes.
Oh, is this the Donald Trump fake news awards?
No, but that is a great answer. That is not officially in award season yet, but we'll see what happens later in the presidency. The actual ceremony that I was referring to was the Golden Globes, kicks off the entertainment award season.
Yeah, I usually don't follow them. I watched the Oscars last year when they gave the wrong best picture at the very end. I was like, is this really happening? So, yeah. All right. Well, shoot. Got that
Hey,
one wrong.
2 out of 3 is not bad, and you could probably fix it. You okay with the bonus that because it was a question I wanted to keep, but
Yeah. Are you saying you have another bonus question?
I have a bonus question that I could ask you.
Yes. Let's do it.
All right. North Korea has made overtures towards South Korea in hopes for a better diplomatic relationship. What did North Korean leader Kim Jong Un say is one of his more immediate goals of the renewed talks?
Gosh, is this where they want to represent Korea as one nation at the Olympics?
North Korea's participation in the upcoming Olympics. So
Okay.
I will give you that one.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's kind of a wacky, I mean, all weeks lately are wacky news weeks, but I figured I would do some current event headlines that weren't necessarily all tech based this time.
Well, Bob, very good questions. Thank you for those. And I'm going to transition to something that is very nerdy and tech related, and it is the browser wars. In fact, is it the return of the browser wars? Is it, what are you using? In fact, we see a lot of buzz these days on the internet, and are we back? Is Chrome the new IE6? This is a kind of a cool little article from The Verge, and definitely worth reading there, and basically saying, is Chrome making the same mistakes? So just kind of weird. Maybe it's coincidence, maybe not, but other people in our Twitter sphere are also kind of thinking similar things. Firefox has come out swinging lately with their own, I would say, faster browser. And so they put this little video together here with some benchmarks. And honestly, when I watched it, I was like, yeah, sure. Put together this little browser war here of some of my favorite movies here back in the day, and some cartoons here where Chrome historically beats up on Internet Explorer, and of course Safari, they're just chilling. They really don't get involved too much. But it does beg the question, should we be looking at other browsers? Are we scared of Edge? I mean, after all, it does pop up a bunch of these things on my Windows 10 telling me it's better, and I guess that's their spokesperson there. So, and then this is Ash from Army of Darkness here, kind of staging Firefox's epic return here. And of course, Chrome certainly doesn't want to go away. So, Bob, is it the return of the browser wars?
I knew that something was up when earlier this year, Firefox came up with a national advertising campaign for the new release of Firefox, which is, in my mind, just insane because Firefox started as an open source project, did it not?
I don't know. I know it's run by Mozilla, and I don't know if it has Netscape roots and things like that. Now you're really testing my knowledge there.
We'll have to have the fact checkers check that, but I felt like it was an open source or like a Skunkworks type project, and to think that they are doing national television advertising for the new version of a browser. I mean, I guess Google did it maybe 1 or 2 years ago, promoting the browser, and then Microsoft has always done it just because Microsoft has always struggled. But I do think we're back to browser wars again, and it's healthy. Although one thing that really was huge fallout with the last browser wars, I think, was like standards.
Yeah.
So who knows what's going to happen with that again?
So, just trip down memory lane. I think my case is pretty representative. I mean, I think I started my first programming in 1999, unpaid. Side note, there's a sentiment going around the Twitter sphere about, hey, how old's too old to get into tech? Just for the record, I didn't get my first paid program job until I was 32. So in 1999, I wasn't 32. But anyway, in 1999, I think we all start with Internet Explorer and Netscape Navigator. And then, eventually we moved on to Firefox, and, we kept trying to come back to Internet Explorer, and there's different iterations. Then there's SharePoint, and SharePoint had to render things certain ways, and it leaked into the Internet Explorer code, and the web standards kind of went out the window. iOS and Mac OS, was out there. So you got Safari kind of hanging out there. Chrome came along and just kind of crushed everybody. And then I think what's interesting is Chrome has now inverted its position, and now it's looking like the browser who is doing the wrong, and everybody else is looking like the rebels. So we've kind of, the Empire and the rebellion have kind of switched sides here, and I think
Well,
that's
the
where
whole
we're
thing
at.
that was cool in the article was when they talked about the reoccurrence of like best viewed with. So we're here at 2018, and we have sites that are saying best viewed with Chrome, you know, and that's where that article kind of jumps off. It's like, wow, is Chrome becoming the IE6 of, you know, yesteryears? And, you know, only certain sites like Chrome, Google has properties that will only work in Chrome. So that's just crazy.
And I was talking with Taylor, a coworker of mine, and I was like, hey, wait a second, isn't Safari and Chrome the same thing? So is, you know, WebKit isn't an indictment of Chrome and an indictment of Safari. But Bob, I think you did some research before the show.
Yeah, apparently, and just something that's apparently not talked about very often, but Chrome actually went away from WebKit back in 2013. So it's been, yeah, so they're using Blink. And I found articles dating back to April of 2013 talking about their leaving WebKit. So I've never even, I mean, going to lose my front end developers card here, but I didn't even consider Blink. I've only, you know, it doesn't have a browser prefix. So what is it?
You know, something I learned over this weekend, that there's a browser, I think it's called Yanzer or something like that. It's some Russian development browser. And in fact, from that video,
I was gonna say, is that the Y icon that was in the video?
Yes, that's what that is. Dolph Lundgren gets the Y there because there's apparently some Russian thing, and that was news to me. Yes. So interesting, because we put a lot of faith in our browsers, right? I mean, our browser ensures we have an SSL connection when we browse a website. It ensures, you know, it doesn't leak the passwords that it's storing. The thing about Chrome, and I don't want to hate on Chrome because I love Chrome, but the Chrome extensions just scare the crap out of me. After I made a first few, I'm like, holy crap, this is way too much power for somebody to be able to have. Holy crap. And then that's also that thing with what we talked about earlier with the open source stuff. Imagine downloading a Chrome plugin and it works great, and you went through the code because for some reason it's open source, and I bet you a lot of them aren't. And then even the developer of that plugin has nothing nefarious. However, he depends, or she depends, on some third-party library that has been hacked, or is like, wouldn't it be great if we could do this? And then now they're sniffing for inputs and things like that. Or, you know, it's basically inviting cross-site scripting into your ecosystem. And what may start as a great plugin that you've found actually has a dependency on something that not even the author of the plugin knows that is doing some bad stuff. So I don't know if you can do plugins for Firefox or Internet Explorer. I mean, Internet Explorer had ActiveX, which was the king of, oh my gosh, this is a bad idea.
Exploitable content.
Yes. I mean, I guess the second runner-up is Adobe Flash. So, I mean, this isn't new, but it's kind of funny how Internet Explorer has kind of offloaded a lot of its baggage onto Chrome, and a lot of us are still using Chrome because, I mean, when I look at things and I go, okay, well, let me switch to Firefox, but wait a second, am I going to lose productivity? Because I know how to use Chrome. You know, I know what I'm doing here. All I got to do is right-click, inspect, and I can do all these things. And now if I'm going with Edge or Firefox, am I trading in some, you know, maybe, do I get a peace of mind? I don't know. Maybe I just get frustrated and come right back.
I'm not a fan of Edge's developer tools. I tried. They're so clunky.
So they made a hire recently, and I can't remember his name. I guess he came from the Webpack world, and he is now at Microsoft. And I think part of his mission is to change that experience on the Edge developer tools. But you're right. You know, there's so much stacked against us right now. You know, and Spectre and Meltdown are kind of like down my list.
Yeah, this actually has been a somewhat terrifying and depressing.
Well, I don't want to be fear-mongering. I just want people to kind of think, you know, I'm wearing a football cap here, not a tinfoil cap, but, oftentimes I do wear my tinfoil cap because I'm just like, oh man, and this and this, and I'm really not trying to turn this into one of those things. Okay, so
so how do we bring that back? I mean, what's the takeaway? Let's everyone be safe out there. I mean,
well, I think the takeaway is the odds are always stacked against you, and don't get complacent. Don't get complacent. And I think we all get complacent. It don't matter. I mean, Troy Hunt, I love you, but I bet you've done something that, is probably like, yeah, it was a little sketchy. Like, ooh, I installed this plugin. Ooh, I don't want to pick on Troy. I love Troy Hunt. He's a great security expert. And so I'm just saying we're all fallible. And I just think that is the takeaway. So. All right, Bob. We're going to do one more pitch here for the subscribe to the show. So push the button that looks like a heart and it says subscribe in the corner of your screen. We would really appreciate that. And then finally, Bob, you're going to take us home with our catchphrase. Go ahead and lay it on us.
Bring the lightning.